think to myself, what a wonderful world.
What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. We're finally back out in the garage, and today the Mk2 is very overdue some TLC. The first thing I'm going to change in this video is the front two wheel bearings. One of them did start whining about 2 months ago now, but there wasn't that much play in it. I haven't checked it recently, but all I know is it definitely needs doing. And also, while I was looking for that wheel bearing fault, I also topped up the gearbox with oil, which then created another problem for me. I don't think there was a lot of oil in the gearbox to start off with, but ever since I've topped it up, the gearbox drive shaft seals have started leaking, so I've got 2 of them as well to change today. I got all of these parts off of Shane Baker. Here's one of the gearbox drive shaft seals. I'm pretty sure they're exactly the same. Yeah, they look the same. And also in here, I've got the 2 wheel bearings and some grease. He's also chucked in some brand new hub nuts, which is always helpful. It probably is worth noting that Shane Baker has actually set up his own Facebook page now where you can contact him for all of these parts. It's just called SB Parts. I will link it in the description below. He's really reasonable with all his prices. He pretty much could sell you anything for a Mk2 and Mk1 Fiesta, as well as manufacturing new bits. He is also the bloke I purchased my coilovers off for the Mk2, so yeah, go over to that page and show him some love for me, please. So now you guys know what I'm doing in this video. I think I'm just gonna get on with it, get the car jacked up and start changing out these wheel bearings. It is worth noting that it is very hot this week in the UK. It's only like 30 degrees, but for us that is a peak summer, so might be a little bit of a sweaty video, but yeah, we're gonna get on with it nonetheless. Right, I hope the gun's charged. It is worth noting, loads of people normally ask me what my gun is. It's a Ryobi. It's probably the most budget sort of cordless gun you can get, but I mean it does me well for weekends and that. I wouldn't use it in my day job, but yeah, on the weekends it works a treat for me. Oh my god, that is filthy. Before I start stripping this all out, it is worth noting that this is filthy. I've been driving this constantly for about 2 to 3 weeks with no wash, so that is why this looks like it does. Yeah, not very proud, but at the same time I wanted to get the bearings changed and the gearbox drive shaft seals, then I'll give the whole car a once over. Right, first things first, gonna get this caliper and carrier off. Gonna take it off as one piece, so just need a 17mm for the 2 carrier bolts. Right, give this a little push. There we go. That is absolutely filthy. Oh my god, you wouldn't think it was blue under there, would you? Right, I'll just get that cable tied up on the coilover. Alright, that'll do for the moment. Caliper's completely out the way, just tucked up there. Gonna get the track rod end off now, just so we can move this a bit more freely. Lovely jubbly. We ain't no cowboys in this garage, alright, so never whack it from below, alright? On the side always. There you go. Job's a good one. Now I'm gonna undo the bottom pinch bolt. It's quite weird on these, it's only a little 13mm. Get that off. Tiny little nut. So on the other end of this pinch bolt is Torx 40. Instead of whacking it from the other side and ruining the thread, we'll start to loosen this and then we can tap it out with the nut on it afterwards. There we go. Hopefully you won't even need to tap it. Sometimes you can just push these with your finger the other side, like I've just done. There you go. Sorted. Right, I've made one fit. It's a old style socket. Hopefully my gun will take this off, but this will be the moment of truth. Happy days. Take it off. Don't forget your big old washer for the hub nuts. So all we got to do is undo these. 2 for the coilover. There we go, one tiny little hub. I have just had a quick little tidy up, arranged the tools. I'll tell you what though, one thing that really does bug me when I start doing suspension work and that, I just have the urge to paint stuff. Like, I should really paint this hub, but it's in the middle of summer, I've got shows all around the corner and I just can't afford to have the Mk2 off the road for any longer. Saying that, the front suspension just needs a light restoration and powder coat quite a few bits, as well as the engine. I want to give that some TLC, but that is the only bits that need doing to this car. It's yeah, it's at a reasonable state. Obviously you guys have seen what the underneath and the rear axle look like, so yeah, I'm nearly there with this car, but it's just a rolling project at the end of the day. Anyway, enough waffle about that. We're now going to replace the wheel bearings. I have actually changed these once before, a good few years ago now, might even be 3 years ago. I just don't think I'd put the right grease or enough grease in there, so one of them has failed prematurely, but yeah, not to worry. There we go. So got that there. I'll put it upside down so I know where it goes. The bearing's obviously a bit mullered because I've just been hammering it, but yeah, that goes like that. Oh, this is going to be hard with the GoPro. Both the bearings are now out, so you've got one on this side. Basically, they're the same size, but the seals aren't. One's bigger than the other, I think. Yep. Anyway, I've still got these little bearing shells in here, so I'm going to have to get these out. That one goes in past this little recess, and this one doesn't go up to it so much, but yeah, I'm going to tap them out because I've got them with the new bearings. So unlike modern bearings on modern cars, these actually have these sort of shims on them, and the way the bearings are they're actually tapered, so not sure how I'm going to pick this up on a video, but they sit in there and you've got one either side, then you've got the 2 sort of seals to keep the grease in. Whereas modern bearings are just in one sealed unit, and you normally press them in, then press the hub flange onto them. But yeah, because these are a little bit older, they're a different design, but not to worry, we can still do that. The trick to it is just sort of getting it evenly, do it in 4 corners, and you will get there in the ends. There we go. Another one out. I've just cleaned up my working area and I'm going to get into these bearings now. It's always good to just keep a nice clean space when you're working. So here's the new bearings, as you can see, fit in there. They're both exactly the same as well. You can just test fit them yourself, put them on top of each other, whatnot. What I will be doing is I'll be putting these shims in first, tapping them in with a punch. There wasn't actually a lot wrong with my other ones, but I guess over time they could probably wear. So yeah, that could be another reason for the wheel bearing failing. Right, them shims are now all in now. Did actually take quite a long time, but you just have to persist with it and use a punch lightly all the way around the edge and you'll get them in eventually. Up next is the nice and messy part, so yeah, I've got to put these new bearings in, but first of all, got to grease them up. Wheel bearing completely replaced, new seal on this side as well as the back, and I tapped on this metal bracket on the back. Yeah, pretty happy with that. I'm not actually quite sure if this is going to leak out. Depends what sort of level it's on, but yeah, I'll put it under there just for precaution. There we go. Right, let's get this seal changed. Yep, it's coming out, it's all over the exhaust. This is going to be quite hard to record, but I'm trying to get a good angle with the camera so I can show you guys. Also, you may have noticed the audio quality is a little bit poor now, only because I've taken off the mic. Lovely bit of overspray here. Very annoying. Another thing that's sort of really bugging me. Right, that weren't making any difference, so I brought out the big guns, the old crowbar, and actually it fits in there really nicely, so I think this might, yeah, it's gonna work. Look at that. Quality. I mean, some of you might take the piss, but I call that initiative. Use your initiative. Bosh, there we go. Here is our new gearbox drive shaft seal. I have got one of these sockets from my dad's toolbox. Pretty much goes around all of it, so I can give that a nice little tap on, make sure it is all going in evenly. Oh, it's already gone on, nice. Now the seal's completely flush, it still needs to go in a couple of mil, so I've got the socket. The drive shaft seal is now in, so yeah, perfect. Let's get on with putting everything back together now, and then I can start the other side. There we go, it's home. Also, is worth mentioning that I'm only going to be doing these up on number 2 on the gun. If I do a number 3, it's just going to do them up far too tight. At the end of the day, once I've finished with this section of the car, I'll go around and nip it all up with a big old bar just to make sure it's all tight. Look at that, slot straight in. The hub. Very happy with how this is going together. Let's get this new hub nut on. So yeah, big bulky washer, you need that. That on first, then your hub nut. Track wood end. Just like that, I've got the front suspension all back together. What I will do is I'll go around with this big bar and give all the bolts a check before I put the wheel back on. And also I do need to torque down this hub nut and then bang in this flange. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to start to get the other side stripped out, seeing as that was the one where the wheel bearing was actually failing, and also change out that other gearbox drive shaft seal. I don't know which one had failed, which was causing it to leak oil, but I got the pair just so I can replace them both anyway. Just had to wipe the lens because I realised it was blurry. Hope that weren't like that for too long. I'll soon find out when I edit this video. I am going to do this side a little bit different. Because you've already seen one, you don't need to see the other. Also, you've probably just seen from that previous clip, the lighting over here in the middle of the garage isn't the best. It's starting to get a little bit late in the day now as well, and I'm getting a little bit sweaty, want to get in and have me dinner. plan with this side was actually just to blitz through it and just basically put on a couple of time lapses. I'm still going to do that. However, I have just got this bearing assembly out of this hub, and this was actually the one that was making the humming noise where the wheel bearing had gone. Now, if we look at this first side of the wheel bearing, it's actually alright. It is a little bit dry, but all in all, it doesn't look too bad. Then, when we pick up this next one, you can see it's actually started to pick up quite a bit of grease, and then it's started to sort of clump up a little bit. As you can see, I'm just going to wipe this bearing here. You can see the grease is just clumping up, and it almost looks like there's little bits of metal on my hand, which could indicate that it was running dry and it was then running on the outside ring of the bearing with not a lot of grease on it and just picking up little bits of metal, which obviously causes the wheel bearing to fail and start to hum. I did notice that there is actually a little bit of pitting that I can see. Probably be able to see a bit more under like a microscope or something, but yeah, there's definitely some pit in there, and there's a tiny little lip on this compared to the other one, which doesn't have anything like that. I think this would be a wheel bearing noise, and yeah, the cause of the failure was definitely lack of lubrication. And that is why this time I'm absolutely packing these out to the maximum and just putting grease everywhere, and before I put the 2 seals on either ends that keep the grease in, because I don't want this happening again in my time that I own this Mk2 Fiesta. Anyway, enough waffling on from me. I'm going to whack this back on time lapse and get this new wheel bearing in the hub and change out the gearbox drive shaft seal and get it all back together and running again. It's a new day, I'm up nice and early. I just want to box up and finish the bits that I was doing the other day. There's not much left to do on the suspension side of things. All I'm going to do is just go around and nip up all the bolts that I've had off. Also, I do need to torque up this hub nut. It goes to a specification that I can't remember, and then you just bash this over into the drive shaft and it sort of stops it from undoing if it was to ever happen. Also, something else just as important, I need to fill up the gearbox. So I've got this gear oil 80/90, which the Haynes manual recommends, so I'll be filling that up once I've got the car back on the ground. The bolts on the other side are all now nipped up and I'm happy with them. Just going to do this side. You've all got to bear with me, these wheels are an absolute state, just like the rest of the Mk2. As I previously said, it hasn't had a wash in about 2 weeks, and I have put a fair bit of mileage on it. Can't really talk out there because someone's cutting their hedge, but I looked in the Haynes manual and the gearbox actually takes 2.8 litres worth of oil, but I didn't drain it fully because I only just took the drive shafts out and drained it from there. I don't think these actually have a drain bung on them. Anyway, I've topped it up with about 1.5 litres and it started pouring out of the fill hole, so yeah, that's all good for me. I'm just going to torque up the hub nuts now, and yeah, we're pretty much done. Also, thank you to Aaron for lending me the 30mm hub nut socket. I don't know why I haven't got one of these, but yeah, gonna have to get an array of hub nut sockets because I've only got like 4 at the moment at home. So yeah, cheers Aaron. Right, I'm on a pretty tight schedule today. Got to go get a trim in a minute, but I want to see if this noise has gone. You know what, that just sounds so much better already. So dialed. Oh, perfect. That wheel bearing is mint. Time will tell with the gearbox seals whether I've cured that, but I think I have. They both went in pretty easily and I didn't damage them, so that should be my gearbox leak sorted as well. And there we have it. I think that brings us to the end of this video pretty nicely. Really happy I finally got these wheel bearings changed and the gearbox drive shaft seals. I had been meaning to do them for ages, but I just never got the time, and yeah, I'm just so happy they're finally done. Just want to thank everyone who's been purchasing t-shirts. I really appreciate it. If you do want one, send me a DM on Instagram, Facebook, or my email below, and just let me know what size you want. They're only £20 and that includes postage within the UK. Yeah, sorry, just had to plug the t-shirts there, but no, I'm buzzing with the outcome. Wheel bearings are nice and smooth now, and there's no gearbox oil leaking. Remember, if you did enjoy this video, give it a like, and if you like what you see, subscribe to the channel to see more. Thank you all for watching, and until the next one, I'll see you guys later. It probably is worth noticing. Oh, what's it called? Right, I didn't have the hub nut socket in my box for this, but my dad does, and it's labelled up nice and neatly, hub Mk2, so can't go wrong there, can you? Ah, oh. What? Well, clearly you can go wrong there. Oh, hay fever. Oops, it's not new anymore. Anyway.
Yep, might be a good idea to put it above the traction control arms. Oh,